There's many a sight to be seen in the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, from hands in buckets, wells to explore, birdages, and of course, herbs that make you hurl, along with many, many other things to experience around the world, all topped off with excellent dialogue.
Don't you Grays have better things to do, like marrying your sisters?
But today, we're going to be taking a look at Easter eggs that can be found around the world. So from UFOs to pig farm hoes, it's time to get on Arthur's level of excitement. You on that level? No? At 1. Bigfoot. A Rockstar game wouldn't be complete without an appearance from Bigfoot in some capacity or another. Follow this flock of birds from the Calumet Ravine, and they'll lead you to a blocked-off cave where you're able to speak to the man himself. The flock of birds may not spawn in its place a man fishing, but you can always politely ask him to leave. Once the birds scatter, the cave will be to your left and the big man will start talking. Remember, to trigger this Easter egg, you must have discovered at least 30 animals. In case you didn't know, it is possible to get up onto the platform and using first person to get into the cave. Just be ready for a lot of Rockstar physics. After exploring, leave the area and come back 3 days later and you'll be able to talk to him once more.
And you?
How have you been?
Okay, I suppose.
That's good. I've been lonely. Very lonely.
At 2. Nightfolk.
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 Ooh, they bad people.
Are you feeling brave and wouldn't bat an eye at the likely prospect you'll be insta-killed by a knife-wielding swamp gang and lose your perfect pelt? Then head to Blue Water Marsh in the dead of night. There's a few encounters, but I find the most common is the Weeping Lady. Approach her at your peril. Nightfolk are a nod to the Rockstar Universe zombies in Undead Nightmare, or at least I think they are. It's been so long since I've played it, I don't really remember anyone calling them that. Feel free to call me a dumbass in the comments if I'm wrong here. At 3. Jade Mask. Speaking of Undead Nightmare, how about the mask that started the curse? Head into the Saint Denis fence and take a look behind the shopkeeper. It's a pity we can't put it on and begin the second, or technically first, Undead Nightmare. Come on Rockstar, how about that DLC? Lastly, this fine gentleman is a slaver, so be sure to leave a tip. At 4. Ghost Train. Railways crisscross the world of Red Dead 2 and make for a great way to get around. But if you hang around the Lemoyne sign around 3 AM, you'll be presented with a train I don't think you'll want to be on. The ghost train did seem a little reluctant to spawn, at least for me. If you have the same problem, set yourself up a camp and sleep and try the next night, or better still, try a fresh save. I'm pretty sure it's available from the moment Arthur touches down in Horseshoe Overlook. At 5. Pig Farm. Definitely the most interesting Easter egg I've researched so far, so much so I'm considering making another video on the topic, but for our purposes today will be a shorter overview. Now I'm sure you've all come across the Aberdeen Pig Farm, sat down for a drink and had that fucking smoke wiped off your face. With creepy pictures with the eyes scratched out, the overall incesty vibe, and a closet that Arthur will be equally disgusted by no matter how many times you open it.
Sons of bitches.
But what you may or may not have known, this is based on a family known as America's first serial killer family. In Labette County, Kansas from 1869 to 1873, the family, who were known as the Benders, don't laugh, John Bender, Ma, who resembles the woman in the picture, who went by Alvira Bender, and their children John Jr. and Kate Bender, lived and worked from a small shack that had been converted into a small living quarters on one side and an inn/convenience store on the other. Perfect for your average traveller to stock up on supplies or even stay the night. As time went on, people began to go missing, but with news travelling so slowly, and at a time when the chances of you running into bandits, getting bitten in the dick by a cottonmouth snake, or any of the other million ways to die in the West were so high, the true gravity of the situation wasn't realised. People up and leaving wasn't an uncommon thing, but when a man named Dr. York went missing, this would prove to be a mistake by the Benders, as York's brothers, one a colonel in the army, the other a United States senator, with the resources to find out what happened to their brother. As the search got underway, a heavy storm moved in, which delayed the search for 3 days. As the storm cleared and the search resumed, a neighbour passing the Benders' property said he saw no sign of the family, and alerted the search party. They came to investigate, but the Benders were gone. The shack didn't look out of place or damaged, but had a putrid smell. Pulling back a curtain, they found a trapdoor leading to a cellar, covered in clotted blood. Investigators were confident they found what they were looking for, but when they began to dig, they only unearthed more blood. About to give up on the cellar, one of the York brothers had them dig in another spot on the property. They dug into the night, finally coming across Dr. York's body, buried face down in a newly ploughed orchard, his throat slit, and injuries consistent with being bludgeoned with a blunt object, which was later found to be a hammer. And sadly, he wasn't the only one. At least another 11 more bodies were unearthed on the Bender property, and while attempts to solve the case were underway, a gentleman named Mr. Wetzel came forward and told of a lucky escape. After arriving at the inn, ready to sit down for a hot meal, Ma, Alvira Bender, told him to sit in a specific seat, in front of a curtain. Finding this strange, Mr. Wetzel refused, which caused Ma to become abusive. Then, John and John Jr. emerged from behind the curtain. Needless to say, Mr. Wetzel refused further invitation to stay for dinner and left the inn. Shortly after this account, another man named William Pickerman came forward with almost an identical story, and the working theory was, while a guest would be sitting at the table, John and John Jr. would linger behind the curtain and strike them in the head with a hammer. This wouldn't always subdue a victim as planned, so Ma and Kate would be ready to finish the job, usually resulting with their throats being slit, their belongings and clothes stripped from them, and being held in the inn until nightfall, at which time they would bury them under the cover of darkness. Despite the amount of evidence and the fact they knew exactly who they were looking for, the case was never solved, only knowing for sure that they fled sometime during the storm, leaving behind questions, their Kansas property, and a trail of 21 bodies. Guys, there's a lot more interesting details that I had to miss out because it's already the length of my arm. But like I say, I'll be doing another video on the story, so if you found this interesting, be sure to catch that. At 6, locked away. From one family with dark secrets to another, the Braithwaite family property is a prison for their daughter. Tucked away behind the workman's hut is an outhouse locked with chains. Approach and you'll hear her talking. Take a peek inside, and the Braithwaite secret will try and grab you. Return as John, once in the epilogue, and upon return, sadly, we confirm that she never got the help she clearly needed, and died, never leaving the outhouse. Bummer. At 7, it's Manbearpig. I'm super serial. Just a nice throwaway from Van Horn, you can come across an old rickety rundown house with an open window just begging to be climbed through. So what's inside? Tonics? Treasure? Dildo? No, it's climate change. I mean, Manbearpig. If you're not familiar with the South Park episode featuring ex-President Al Gore, in which his character has an obsession with Manbearpig, poking fun at his obsession with climate change in real life. Although I'm pretty sure this isn't what this creature is based on, I think this person may just like to cut up animals and stick them together. No big deal. Because this would be a man, crocodile, goat, bear, eagle, cougar, boar, pig. Which is, I don't know, I guess climate change, the wage gap, fat shaming and white males. Because that's not racist apparently. What do you think, Arthur? At 8, Donkey Lady. South of Armadillo, at a place named Two Crows, you'll find a tip of the hat to an old glitch from Red Dead 1. The Donkey Lady was an NPC morphed with, you guessed it, A leopard. Just kidding, a donkey. This glitch was found by a gamer I couldn't find the name of, but who named her the Incredible Donkey Lady. And if you ask me, being able to ride around and shoot whilst mounted to an NPC donkey lady is pretty incredible, and definitely earned its spot in this prequel. At 9, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Straight out of a 2007 Western movie, the Chapter 2 mission titled Pouring Forth Oil 4 takes you on a train robbery showing cutscenes almost identical to that of the movie.
Here she comes.
What's going on here? What's going on?
Nothing good. I'm going aboard. Make that quick and join us on there.
Go on! Get on there! Hey! Faster!
After all this excitement of train robbing, my question is, if you had to, who would you choose to rob a train with? Arthur Morgan or Brad Pitt? Gonna pretend you all said Arthur Morgan, because here on this channel, we love Arthur Morgan.
I love you, Arthur Morgan.
At 10, UFOs. Just north of Emerald Ranch, you'll find a skeleton orgy going on in a large cabin with no roof, open to the elements. Burnt out candles and tattered cloth strewn about the place would indicate that they've been here for quite some time. But why are they here? Well, according to the note on the desk of who I'm calling the King of the Skeletons, this guy, they are no longer here on Earth in consciousness, just a pile of bones. They've been taken up beyond the stars by their otherworldly companions, leaving behind mere empty vessels in the form of a pile of corpses. But surely there's no truth to this story, and the King of the Skeletons just Jonestowned a bunch of people a better part of a century before Jonestown ever Jonestowned. So they had to be crazy to think that was true. Oh shit, it's real. Okay, we all need to start drinking poison. Here, I'll go first. In all seriousness, definitely don't drink poison. Just inject bleach. No, sorry, don't do either of those things. If one UFO isn't enough to quench your thirst for headfucks and adventure, then how about another one? To get this one to spawn, simply come back to the cabin around 2 AM after reading the note. As for the second, you'll need to come here. As for time, I think as long as you turn up at night it will appear. At least it has in my experience. If it doesn't work, try heading there around 2 AM, like the first. At 11, GTA Cameos. From the streets of Los Santos to the cattle farms of West Elizabeth, during the epilogue, while still working for Mr. Geddes shoveling shit, you get an unwanted visit from the Laramie Gang, the leader being none other than Steve Ogg, better known in the GTA universe as Trevor Phillips.
Leave him alone.
Oh, careful, boys. Careful. Look at this tough guy.
Get out of here.
Oh, fancy pants Geddes paying you to be tough for him, huh?
No, he's paying me to keep the place clean.
Oh.
Said he had some problems with vermin.
Welcome to Big Valley, Jim Milton. Pleasure to meet you both. We'll see you again. And you, boy, tell Mr. Geddes we called. We'll be back.
Moving on to the muggy swamps of Lakay, we're looking for a couple of moonshiners. As for spawn points, I know for definite there's one right here, but I don't remember where the others are, including the one in the footage, so sorry about that. Complete professional.
Get the hell out of here! Calm down. Maybe you can help us.
Once you've found the camp, direct your attention to this fine gentleman, and you're looking at Mr. Ned Luke's character, known as Michael DeSanta in GTA. You forget 1,000 things every day, pal. Make sure liking this video ain't one of them, sorry. Sorry to the audience and sorry to Ned. He wouldn't smile and look into the camera, so I had to improvise. Sorry, Ned. Now, what threw me off was the voice sounded nothing like Ned, but looking into it, I don't think he was the voice actor for this character, but the character's appearance was based on him, as I understand it. I'm sure someone could give me a more detailed account in the comments, and as for Franklin, I don't know. As far as I know, nobody's found him yet. Maybe someone could tell me any information they have, but after looking myself, as far as I know, he hasn't turned up. And finally, last but not least, at 12, Roanoke Voices. So you walk into the woods here and you hear some shit, good night. Just kidding. In 1587, in North Carolina, efforts were being made to establish the first British colony on Roanoke Island, modern-day Dare County. A few months after settling, it was decided a man named John White would sail back to England to gather supplies for the 115 or so people. But, with delays from the war between England and Spain, it took another 3 years to return to the island. Once he did, he found nobody. Not a soul. Only various discarded tools, rifles, and a word carved into a tree. Croton. A tribe of Native Americans. Now, although in-game there's no tree with this carved into it, I can only assume with it having the same name that it is what this is based on, and the creepy voices you hear in the woods were members of the colony that are no more. And if that was bollocks, you heard a mildly interesting story. Boo, look out behind you. And that's your lot. Thank you for watching. Well done if you made it to the end. This channel is very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to everyone that made that happen. And if you'd like to help me reach that goal, then like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in... You'll see me... You know what, just take it easy, alright? Bye.